gone away. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Lost Legend TV. I'm Ray, and today we are going to be reviewing an all-time classic movie, which I've never seen. I watched this past weekend, and wow. If I had to sum it up, it's just wow. This movie is a mixed bag of emotions. It left me interested. A lot of the times I was curious. It made me laugh. It made me sad. It made me confused. It made me angry. It's true what they say. This is a really good classic movie. IMDb gives this an 8.7. Rotten Tomatoes gives this 93% on the tomato meter, which is critics, and 96% on audience scores. So almost everybody in the world loves this movie, and me included. It really left me surprised, and I've never seen this movie before. But yeah, this was a great watch. So most of you who's watching this review have probably seen this movie. But if you have not, let me break this down for you. And disclaimer, I've only seen this one time. I haven't read the book or the novel. The only substance I have is this film. So if there's anything I'm missing, feel free to drop it down in the comments. This movie was released in 1975, but it takes place in 1963. From the jump, this has an all-star cast. It has Jack Nicholson, Louise Fletcher, Will Sampson, Brad Dourif, Christopher Lloyd, Danny DeVito, William Redfield. This cast really packs a punch. The movie starts off in 1963, and Jack Nicholson plays this character named Randall McMurphy. He is faking insanity so he doesn't have to do hard labor because he had inappropriate relations with a 15-year-old, a minor, a girl. So he pretends to be insane so he doesn't have to do this hard labor. But all is not what it seems when Randall gets in there to the psych ward. He goes back and forth with this head nurse, Nurse Ratched. From my research of this film, it seems like Nurse Ratched is portrayed as one of the most evil villains of all time in cinema. But I never saw her as the villain in this movie until the one scene. And you know which scene I'm talking about. And we'll get to that when we get to that, because that's just that's a rant that I don't want to go on because I just want to punch that bitch in the face. Fuck! So Randall time and time again challenges Nurse Ratched. He challenges the system. He challenges the institution system, the way they are. He tries to change things. And you can easily tell that Nurse Ratched does not like Randall. And everybody in there knows that he's faking it. When he first goes in there, he's just like, yeah, everybody in here is just buckshot fucking crazy. But the movie does a perfect job of portraying Randall as this outsider who's looking into all these mentally unstable people who he kind of looks down upon, but he kind of makes friends with. So it's like a roller coaster ride of a coming to friendship kind of thing. Randall likes to play cards with the inmates. He teaches them how to play cards. He's gambling with them. He's placing bets. He's taking all their fucking money. He tries his best to convince Nurse Ratched to let them watch the World Series, but she's not having it. She says there has to be a majority vote. Randall does finally get the majority vote, but she says by the time the meeting was adjourned, it was 50-50. And we're just like, bitch, come on. One of my favorite things in this film is when Randall really starts to take these risks. This one scene you probably already know, Randall steals a fucking bus with all of his co-patients, picks up his girlfriend Candy, gets on the boat and goes fishing with them. And that in itself is a very powerful scene because you just see the excitement they have just being out in the world again and being social with each other outside of them walls. And the scene plays out, it's so cute and it's so funny at the same time because Randall's in there trying to give him some with Candy, and everybody's watching their fishing poles, and once somebody gets a bite on their rod, they're like, Mac, help. It's a 50-50 thing seeing these patients out in the wild again, and they're just having a fucking blast. They're having the time of their lives out on the water. But on the other hand, McMurphy is kind of doing it selfishly because he has to prove to them that he's really insane. This is really just kind of a publicity stunt to give him credibility of being insane. And there's also small things like he teaches everybody to play basketball. He goes and befriends this one guy named Chief, which is an Indian played by Will Sampson. And they just paint him as a very unintelligent, mute kind of person. He doesn't talk. He has a hard time registering what's going on. So they become very close. But as McMurphy is teaching them to be more free and to stand up for themselves, they actually take it too far, and the patients start outbursting a little too much to where they start to get punished. So McMurphy, Chief, and this other guy named Cheswick, they all get into a fight. They get sent downstairs. And downstairs is I guess, the place you don't want to fucking go, because they had this big fight at the ward and had to be broke up, and they got punished by receiving electroshock therapy, and that was just really hard to watch. And one thing Jack Nicholson does in this movie is he's always joking around, like, that's just Jack Nicholson's style. He knows what's about to happen. He's just being a smart ass to these wards, these ward attendants. Like, he just don't give a fuck. The doctor, he doesn't give a damn. But in that moment, they see that Cheswick had come out and he was just like fucked. He was out of it. And McMurphy had given Chief a piece of gum. And the Chief says, thank you. Revealing that Chief is doing the same thing McMurphy is. He is just as intelligent as a normal man. He fakes the muteness. He fakes the stupidity. I don't want to call it that. That's a bad term. But in essence, gullibleness. But they're very two of the same people, basically doing the same thing. And there's this whole backstory with the Chief and his father and all that. But you probably already know it. If you haven't, go see the film. You will not be disappointed. After that, Chief and McMurphy make a plan to escape the ward. Their plan is they're going to call Candy over, one of her girlfriends, sneak them into the ward. They're going to have a party. That happens. McMurphy bribes the night orderly Turkle into trying to get some so he's distracted. He's getting fucked up on wine, and he gets caught. And this is where Brad Dourif's character really hits the screen for you. Brad Dourif plays this character named Billy Bibbit. He's very timid. He stutters a lot. He doesn't have a whole lot of self-confidence. He is in there for stalking this girl. He tucks his tail a lot to his mother, and he cares a lot about what his mother has to say. McMurphy offers Candy to him. He's like, no, I can't do that. McMurphy goes as far as like, hey, come with us. You can come with us. But Billy's not ready to go, and I guess only Billy can understand why. So McMurphy basically forces him to go in that room with Candy, and they get it on until the morning. And they had drank so much and partied so much that McMurphy, Turkle, Chief, everybody in the ward had drank so much and partied so much that they had woke up in the morning. Miss Ratchet had came in and their escape plan had failed. Like I said before, I never saw Nurse Ratchet as the villain until this scene, because I just viewed Nurse Ratchet as this head nurse who wants to do everything by the book. There's a system, she follows the system, and she feels like it works for her, and she feels like it works for the patients. McMurphy is really the only person challenging that. McMurphy actually finds out that most of the patients that are there aren't even committed. They're there voluntarily, and it does give you a backstory about each patient. But going back to Billy, when Nurse Ratchet comes in, she makes sure everybody's accounted for. Billy is the only one not accounted for, but they find him and Candy in the room. And this scene is so beautiful, so fucking cruel, and so heartbreaking at the same time, because Brad Dourif's performance as Billy in this scene is just, it hits fucking differently, okay? I almost got a little emotional about this. Billy comes out and everybody's cheering him on. Again, he has a bad stutter, and he normally tucks his tail towards Nurse Ratchet and his mother. His mother, you never see his mother, but Nurse Ratchet heavily implies that, hey, your mother will be disappointed. But in the scene, Billy works up the courage to overcome his stutter, and you can just see in his fucking eyes, he just feels so relieved to finally step up and to be with a woman. Like, he has all this joy inside of him, and he begs and begs Nurse Ratchet not to tell his mother. This is the moment where I truly fucking hated Nurse Ratchet, because she says, and I quote pretty closely, "What would your mother have to say about this?" And Billy's just like, well, you don't have to tell my mother. And he starts begging her to not tell her. And this bitch says, you know, your mom and I are old friends. And just hearing that simply may not be that big of a deal, right? But this bitch had the audacity to verbally break him down, mentally break him down from that high point that he was from, that he had not achieved for God knows how long. And you know he tucks his tail to his mother. So by her saying that, you're basically gonna say that, hey, yes, I'm going to tell your fucking mother. The mother should have nothing to fucking do with this. That is morally and professionally wrong. You should not, under any circumstances, bring in personal assets, personal relationships, personal opinions into your relationship with these mentally unstable patients. So yes, Nurse Ratchet, fuck you. Nurse Ratched threatens to tell his mother, and Billy has to be drugged away to the doctor's office. And he's just screaming, no, no, breaking down in tears. And just seeing his mental incline up in that moment with Candy was so magical. And to see him now at the very fucking bottom again because of this fucking bitch. They leave him alone for a split second and he commits unaliveness, okay? He takes a glass shard, boom. And I'm just like, fuck. Yes, Nurse Ratched is the villain, but at the same time, it's a mixed bag feeling about McMurphy at this point because you know what he did for Billy was a highlight in Billy's life. But you know at the same time that McMurphy has no business putting Billy in that vulnerable situation as well. Do you root for McMurphy in this or do you not? But it only gets crazier from there. The patients are going on day by day, getting back into the routine that they was in because some people are saying McMurphy escaped. Some people saying that McMurphy is upstairs, which I guess is the worst fucking place to go. You find the answer pretty soon because one late night, the chief is the only one awake and he sees McMurphy come back to his bed. He's being walked back to his bed and he goes over there, hugs him, and McMurphy's just fucking out of it. He's been lobotomized. You can see the scar on his head. So he's just a fucking vegetable at this point. So the chief makes a very ballsy decision. He hugs McMurphy and strangles him with his pillow. And then he busts the window out and he escapes. It's also a very beautiful thing because while he's hugging McMurphy, he's like, I'm not gonna leave you like this. I'm not promoting that him murdering McMurphy is a good idea, but I get the gist why, because after this, his brain's fried. Like I doubt he's even conscious besides his basic motor functions. But everybody wakes up and Christopher Lloyd's character as Tabor, he's just sitting there, he's fucking happy that the chief is running out the window. We see the chief running out in the distance and people just going buck fucking wild for him. And it's a beautiful thing seeing that from all of this tragedy that McMurphy had caused, not to discredit all the joy that he brought to their life, that chief got away, he was finally ready to go, and he's riding off into the sunset. So yeah, it's a very mixed emotion bag of a movie. If I'm gonna rate this movie, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. It's damn near perfect. Like, it is damn near perfect to me. Seeing McMurphy's journey in there and how he just don't give a fuck, he's being selfish, to him trying to do nice things for these patients, even though it might be selfish. But shit really hits the fan when he finds out that, I think it was one of the attendants named Mr. Washington, that he thought he was only gonna be there for 68 days, like the jailhouse rules, but he's like, nah, you was committed here, homie. They can keep you here as long as they fucking want to. But you really begin to care about these patients. You really begin to care about how the system works, how each of these patients have a story, how they intertwine with each other, how they react, how McMurphy is manipulating them to his advantage, but also causing them a lot of joy. I really fuck with this movie. I really liked it. Again, there's a lot I didn't discuss, but if you guys haven't seen this movie, go watch this movie. It is mind-blowing. But that's gonna wrap this video up. Thank you guys so much for taking part of your day to kick it with me. I love you all, and until next time, adios.